on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Ludy's Country Store and Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Welcome to the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. Presented by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. And by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Now, here is the voice of Texas A&M basketball, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy, and we welcome you to the tip-off edition of the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. And for the next 60 minutes, we're talking Aggie basketball. We're doing it with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Buzz Williams. Wonderful to see everyone here at Rudy's. We thank you so much for being here. We thank you for joining us all along the network and joining us Learfield's Behind the Mic on the Texas A&M Basketball Facebook page. So much to talk about. An off season as we approach this new season of Aggie basketball and a very special exhibition game that will be played on Sunday at the Fertitta Center in Houston. Those topics, much, much more when we get started. Buzz joins me when we return. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. And this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a Buzz Williams autographed basketball, and will be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today. 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. This is the first of our 12 Aggie Basketball Hours with Buzz Williams. We are with you tonight and again next Monday. And then we got some basketball to be playing. Season tips off on November 4th at UCF. Home, Lamar, Southern. Oh, that's right, Ohio State's coming in. The Aggies start this season ranked number 13, coming off the round of 32 appearance last season, knocking off Nebraska in round 1, taking Houston to overtime. That was in round 2, if you will. That was in Memphis, just coming up shy before that Sweet 16 in Dallas. I do know that after basketball, got to go do baseball, and as we're doing baseball that weekend, I just kept telling everybody I really didn't want to be here. I would much rather be in Dallas with the basketball team, but that's not how it worked out. But baseball worked out pretty well, too, going all the way to Omaha to the very last day. Wade Taylor is a preseason first-team All-SEC. He is back. One of the things I want to talk with Buzz about this evening is the number of players who return and what experience means for a basketball team going into a season, going through a season, and if you're fortunate enough to go into the postseason. And the Aggies kept those players. Player retention, I think, in college sports becomes really important in this day and age of players being able to transfer. No penalty for that. NIL, all of that. I think that's important. And the players that come back for Texas A&M, a big reason why they're number 13 in the preseason poll. Early poll as well has them 5th in now the 16-team SEC. It's going to be fun. It's just going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to talking about that. Aggie Basketball Hour, we have rebranded all of this. Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, presented by Capital Farm Credit, comes your way on Wednesdays. Joni Taylor will start her show, the Aggie Basketball Hour with Joni Taylor. Her first show will be on November 11th. There's about 6 of the doubleheaders that we're going to do. She's moving back to Monday nights, works better for her schedule, and women's basketball. She'll get started on that November 11th. We'll take a break, come on back, talk with Buzz when we return. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams, and this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Head on over to your local Rudy's or Rudys.com to place an order for the real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. And don't forget, Rudy's serves made-to-order and grab-and-go breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Wabissa Bede.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good.
You are here every single week.
Yes.
And
Yes,
the reason why, first of all, howdy.
Yeah,
Second of all, What is the reason why you're? Oh, look, he's over your shoulder.
Well,
look
the main reason why is the guy recruited me, so I think just giving back my loyalty 2 points back to him and just kind of learning the way, because eventually I want to be in his chair. You know? So I got to see him doing the walk, the walk I want to do. So I'm just cheating reps right now, and this is a live reps, and just watching him been doing it for years, so why not?
To me, you are ahead of the curve in that it's more than just being on the sidelines and coaching for the 40 minutes.
Yeah.
There's way more that goes into a head coach. And obviously you've got to earn that as well. You want to learn as much as you possibly can, right?
Yes, for sure. I don't know much. I don't know much. I just, from playing, as much as I know, but I know he's been coaching more years than I've been playing. So I learn from him almost every day. Just grateful to be able to be 2 doors down. And I know when he doesn't want me to bug him, and I'm always there to bug him. So I'm just very excited to bug him every single time. I just smile when I see him. And it's just because I just know I'm ready to bug him, and he just knows I am ready to ask him a question whenever. So I'm just happy he's open for me to answer all my questions.
That was also him, though.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
Yeah.
It's funny because he always talks about who mentors him, right? The relationship's there, right? But he's never forgotten where he has been, right? So he knows exactly the role that you are now.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how much does it help going from Buzz as a player, now coaching with him, and how much do you get to affect and let the players know, hey, I've been in your sneaks. I understand. This is what he's doing. This is what you're going to get out of this.
Yeah.
Do you fulfill that role?
Yeah, a lot of people say that. I legit was in their shoes, so I've been on the other side. Nobody on the staff has been on the other side. So after my introduction was pretty quickly, so they kind of listened pretty fast. I didn't have to enforce anything because they knew legit. And a few of them watched me play before, so they knew like what I was saying was coming from my heart, and what I was saying is legit something I did before. So I understand their pain. I understand their month of September. I've been through their month of September.
Do you miss boot camp?
No, never. I've been volunteered a couple times, and I kind of just look away, you know. So I'm just happy to be able to help the guys as much as possible and be there as much as possible for them, and then try to not step on toes on other people, but be able just to do my work and just help as much as I can for the teams, just to help them achieve their dreams. That's all.
What I really, he talks about that football analogy, right, with coaches. And when I say specialized, you know what I'm talking about. But he also talks about that experience that they have. And to me, it's a lot of different experience through all of it. Yeah. It's not so much specialized that you couldn't help somebody out there. Yeah. But for that, I love that analogy for all of that. Because why hire a staff only to ignore them and do everything? You've got to have that trust. You had trust as a player. It must be something to also have trust as one of the coaches.
Yeah, to him to offer me this job, that builds a lot of trust. He doesn't really trust a lot of people, so I'm just grateful to be in his circle, you know? So that's the biggest thing, just being able to have trust. And a lot of student athletes, they will give you the head nod. They will say the yes, sir, but they're not really listening to you. And our team doesn't do that. No. We're just blessed to be able to have those kids on our side, and being able just to really appreciate us on the staff and really actually listening to us, because I know a lot of other teams, it goes the other way, and we're just grateful to have those guys on our side. And it's not too much. There's going to be confrontation.
Sure.
We know that.
Sure.
We know there's going to be back and forth, but we know it's all coming from the heart, because we all want to win, and it's going to happen like that.
If you can't be truthful with one another, it's going to come to a head at some point.
Yeah,
it
hurts. No, don't worry. The truth hurts. Like I said, like I've been in their shoes. Don't worry. Like, truth hurts. Coming into college as a freshman, you have dreams that you want to come into, and sometimes those dreams won't happen as a freshman. And it's just a hard wall to go through, you know? So that's one thing. You got to just look yourself in the mirror and then have those talks with him. Like, hey, what's some things I got to work on for me to be able to get on the floor? And then after that, and then the stuff off the court, being able to talk to him was just great, you know? So it's just great the guys get to be able to have that relationship with him, and he's open.
Yeah.
And he's open for confrontation as well, too. So he can give you both sides.
You're the classic example of they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Here's you being able to fill in that gap.
Yeah.
Here's what I do know. Here's what that is. And it's not always us them type thing, but hey, because you say it as a freshman, you're balancing academics, time management, all of that, and then you've got to go play at the highest level
for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
No.
Like time management was the biggest thing I learned as a freshman. I knew when to always work out, but then working out with school, then working on my game for him, and then working for the team. It's a lot coming into it. And now with the social media, it's a lot of stuff that is coming their way. So I'm a little scared for them because there's more apps and stuff that even when I played just 4 years ago, there's more apps than I just played recently. And I'm old school now to those apps coming out now. So I'm the old guy that I don't understand these apps. And I don't feel like him. Right. Because I can get equipped to it much faster than him. But some of these songs and these apps and these dances, I'm not the biggest fan of them. I'm about ball, But everybody's different.
How many times do you also see something that comes from team coach Buzz or in a huddle or in that team room where you just I have got to write that down? Because I find Buzz, and he is here, and he'll be here.
Yeah.
What I think his biggest attribute is the curiosity. He never stops learning.
Yeah.
He's always a teacher, but he never stops learning. And then, there'll be something come on and I can't share it fast enough. Do you find it's let me write that one down? You're still learning life lessons, even though you're in a new role.
You saying from him or from other things to tell him?
No, from him, but then Mike Elko will say something and I'm like, hold on a second, I need to clip that and I've got to play that for Buzz because they're so similar. You know what I mean? I like to see how he reacts to something Coach Elko might say, and then he'll say something. I'm like, Mike, I've got to play this for you for your show on Wednesday. Stuff like that.
I send him some stuff. I don't like to blow up his phone too much, but I do send him some stuff that I think he needs to hear, and he writes back what he thinks his opinion on, and for sure stuff in the meetings. If it goes over my head, I tell him to repeat it. When we leave the meeting, I'm like, hey, what did you say one more time? Mm-hmm. He has stuff on his board that I always take from a lot. One of his biggest things, I'm not saying it's not word for word. It's just the gift of basically we wanted this gift, right?
Yep.
I want to be the head coach of Texas A&M, right? But then the pressure that comes with being the head coach of Texas A&M also comes with the gift. I know the blessing is, thank you, God, for blessing me to be the head coach of Texas A&M. But I also got to know, God's going to tell me, all right, now, here's the gift. All right, get ready.
Here's what comes with it.
Here comes with the gift.
Right.
So that's one that I think within my 4 years, even with him playing me, when he first said that, I was like, gosh.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I think that's the one because I wanted to be a high major athlete.
Right.
All right. Now I came to be a high major athlete. Now it's not like high school.
Right.
I'm not the best. I'm not the top dog. I'm not.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah.
I came in thinking, all right, Justin Robinson's here. I met Hill is here.
Yeah.
It's no problem, Saying it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I went up against Justin Robinson and met Hill, and I realized, all right, there's levels. I have to work.
Right.
Right. It's just hard, and you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that as a senior in high school because you're just the best person on the team, top player in the country. But welcoming to college it's a good welcoming. It's a good butt whipping.
He shared with me a podcast he was on, and I love a line. I've stolen it. Yeah. Everybody wants to be the noun without doing the verb.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You got to do the verb.
Yeah.
For Buzz Williams, don't you?
Yeah. You said it.
But I love that. That stood out. I love the conversation back and forth. And again, I think he's one of the great guests because he's not afraid to ask a question as well. And I think it's big when you don't have all the answers, but you want to acquire those answers.
Yeah.
I think that's what's fascinating.
Yeah, he's going to put you on your toes now, so you be ready.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not going to, like you said, don't just come out here and just give him some questions. He's going to get you back in his way.
Yeah.
So it's not like a knock on you. It's just all right, if you're going to ask me, be prepared for your stuff too as well.
Right.
Be a man about it. So man or woman about it, both.
Let's do this again sometime, shall we?
Yeah. It was kind of cool. You got me off guard.
I just yelled at you. Well, once I heard 10, I was like, oh, yeah. Bede, get up here. Thank you. Wabissa Bede joining me. Buzz is next. The Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams rolls on from Rudy's. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call on the winning team at Schulte Roofing, home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. We've rebranded. We have the new picture. Buzz in a suit, so that couldn't have been the latter parts of 23-24. But I like the three-piece suit. I really do. I'm hoping Buzz is fine with this as he looks up.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Howdy, my friend.
How you doing?
Good to be back with you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Very excited about this season, Buzz.
You are?
I certainly am. And I think it goes from the offseason, Buzz, that in this day and age of NIL, day and age of transfer portal, your player retention is absolutely impressive. That's going to mean a lot for this season, will it not?
Well, I hope that it translates to positive outcomes, but if it doesn't, I'm grateful for the relationships that our staff has built with our guys. But also, I think it has a lot to do with the parents of our players. And I think that speaks to the staff in identifying the right families that fit how we want to operate on and off the floor. The world has changed in college athletics, and I think that we have been an outlier in some regards. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about winning and losing, and I understand that that's how we will be judged, I will be judged, but to have the percentage of returning players that we have, and even the ones that have left, we have helped them leave. Not because there was something wrong with the relationship or with their experience at Texas A&M, just for an opportunity maybe that fit them more, where they could play more. So, yeah, I want to make sure that we honor each day this year, because I don't know that you can have that again with the way things are now. I don't know that it'll ever happen again. We didn't participate in some of the rules even as they were changing, and we've kind of went through it step by step and been able to hold on, if that's the appropriate words, to our group. And so I think it's special in that there's so many intertwining relationships between the young adults, the old adults, including their parents, even though I shouldn't call them old, but they're older than their children. Yeah. So it's for sure special. For some of those of your players, you spend 4 or 5 years with some of them, some 3, but teams themselves have a lifespan of September to April. That's right? It. Just that team itself. Mm-hmm. Some come and go. Do you also get a chance to appreciate that team each and every day? Yeah, I'm doing better with it because I know how rare it is. I'm trying to be more aware of how special it is and not to take any of it for granted. The opportunity to spend time with them on the floor, off the floor. So I think all of us appreciate it. I even think our players appreciate it. They wouldn't necessarily use the same words I'm using, but they understand this conversation because we have very transparent conversations along the way. And many of them were offered way more than they're currently making here. And I'm very upfront with their parents about that, very upfront with them about that. And those are hard conversations to have because you want to have unselfish conversations. Every young man is from a different situation with a different vision on what's important now and what's important for their future. And so I'm not saying we go about it the right way at all, but we try to we think having hard conversations is a skill, and we want it to be a competitive advantage. hard conversations during a timeout, hard conversations during a halftime. And if you have enough of them, it's like anything else. If you practice it a lot, then it somewhat becomes normal. And so when we can have hard conversations, even though they are hard to have, we want to have them as fast as we can. And without sounding demented, we want to have them as often as we can. Because what we're trying to do on the floor, off the floor, relative to our program, it's incredibly difficult on the things that I think are important, the things that others think are important. Let's have those conversations. And I think the staff has done really good just to be ultra transparent. They have those conversations long before I ever get to it in recruiting. And so now we can somewhat handle that along the way.
You can have a player go to an assistant coach to get the answer that he wants and then go to you and get an answer that's completely different, right? You've got to trust the coaches. It
has to be
consistent.
one message. It has to be the same language.
Yeah.
It may be in a different tone of voice.
Right.
It may be at a different decibel level, but there has to just be one message. And I'm not saying that our message is the best. That's not the intent. But if it's the same message, it's just the same thing in a practice or in a game. If it's the same message, it may be carried by a different person in regards to their voice or their tone. But if it's the same, if I can have the same conversation with you that I have with your wife, that I have with your son,
right?
If an assistant coach, pick an assistant coach, has that same message, then it doesn't mean that it's going to work. It just means that it's the same message.
You can't go run to the easy parent or the parent who always says yes, right?
It's not many escape valves in how we operate.
Goes back to rule number one, right?
That's
Team
right.
rule number one.
We cannot violate team rule one.
No, absolutely. Much more. The Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. We'll return to Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. The 12th Man Foundation is the official fundraising organization and ticket provider for Texas A&M Athletics. Support a 75-year legacy and help shape the future of Aggie athletics by donating today. 12thmanfoundation.com. We continue with the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. A chance to talk with Team Coach Buzz, and there's Team Coach Buzz, and then there's Teacher Coach Buzz.
Yeah.
How are your classes going? I usually say that to your student athletes.
I don't know how. I don't know how to evaluate myself, just because I have done it, but this is like straight up class. So I don't know if there's any mechanism that takes place, at Texas A&M at the end of the semester where there's some level of evaluation or the students. I would be curious to know how I could be better. I do think with each passing week I'm a little more comfortable. I think my word usage is more succinct. I think the content to create the interactiveness has improved. Tomorrow will be class 8, can do 9 weeks.
Oh.
I don't have a doctorate.
Gotcha.
So, there's a limit to it's an 18-week semester. So the most anybody can teach that doesn't have a doctorate is half. And there's a real professor.
Right.
I'm just the sub. So I don't know. I've learned a lot. I've taken a lot of notes on how I think I could be better. And then I've tried to, just like in a game, what did we study? What did we think was important? How did we prepare? How did we practice? And then you play the game and you look back, not just at the game, but all of the work leading up to the game to determine if what you worked on mattered in the game. And so I've tried to do with each passing week. Josh has helped me. Josh goes to each class, and obviously he knows all the technology, runs all the content, et cetera. And he takes notes in real time. I think we started that maybe after the second week. So he's there, and he's taking notes in real time on what I'm saying. This is good. That was a waste. That content was good. And so he sends me his evaluation as soon as I leave the class. And when I go, I head back to the office. And then as I'm changing clothes, I read what he says because it's real fresh on my mind on what I studied and how it actually came across, or what he thought / how I thought,
Do you think that will help you as a coach, and being a coach, has that helped you with your class?
Yeah, I for sure think there's some translation. I think anytime no matter what, I think if I worked at Rudy's for a week, I would learn something as many times as you can get outside of your world, whatever the world is that you live in, and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Can you take what you've learned outside your world? How do you translate it back into your own world to make your world better? And if you can manufacture opportunities to be outside of your world, hopefully over time your world should get bigger, right? Because you should be getting better. And so I think a little bit of that has happened with each passing week, relative to my ability, hopefully, to be impactful, but then also, I don't have to do that. I should spend my time preparing doing this.
I see.
I for sure think it correlates.
It's an interesting semester because Trev Alberts is also teaching.
Yeah,
he's got a sport management class.
One of these guys, Brad set up, had him come talk to me. I don't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, he's got a sport management class. It's interesting that he's doing that. And to me, if you want to get into leadership, you're the perfect person. You've been in that leadership role, right? If you want to get into sport management, how best but to learn from an AD?
Yeah, it's interesting listening to those kids. I've gotten to know, Josh printed out the media guide mugshot of every kid.
Really?
Yeah, and so I would take 9. He'd print out 9 kids on a card, and I would memorize those 9 going into each week. So I know those 9. Next week I know 9 more. Next week I know 9 more, so that I could use their name when I was teaching. And several of their parents have written me notes throughout the semester from wherever they're from. And as they have become more comfortable with me, and I am more comfortable with them, to be honest, that's all I do is just ask them questions. They're wanting to ask me a bunch of questions, and I just turn it back around on them as fast as I can so I can learn what they're thinking,
Yeah.
Because the only kids I'm around that are their age are our players. Right. But with our players, there's obviously a long-standing relationship that leads to what it leads to. Some of my children are now their age. Yeah. I've been knowing them their whole life. So, here's some kid. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? I'm Adam. Nice to meet you, Adam. What do you think? And so with each passing week, I think he's the basketball coach, and he's just doing I've gotten off that real fast.
Yeah.
No, I want to learn in this environment how you think I can help you more.
Because you're such a voracious reader, whether you listen to podcasts or you are a guest on podcasts, does that also help you in that new role?
Yeah, I read a lot, as you know, and I listen to only good podcasts and try to read only good books, and there's just so much experience. I think that's another way to translate into your world how to make it better. And if I just don't consume anything that has an opportunity to grow me, then I become stale, and now I can't help anybody. So I'm constantly trying to learn something, figure something out.
Then you become the guy who says, I know what I like and I like what I know, right? You never grow from that.
Yeah, I don't I don't think in leadership, I think it's dynamic. I don't think it can stand still. And I think you have to know what you value, and you have to know what your priorities are, and you have to live your values, and you have to live your priorities. And I think anybody would say that. I think the next layer to that is so many people think that the answers prove how smart you are, and I'm completely opposed to that. I think the smartest people ask the best questions, and so I'm constantly focusing on how I can improve as a question asker. I don't really want to give my opinion. Even when I talk to you, I try not to give my opinion because that becomes too polarizing. And, of course, I consume a lot of press conferences of leaders and coaches, and I just think when all you do is you give your opinion over and over and over, I think you have to be really careful of your ego kind of taking over, and you lose the ability to ask questions. Doesn't matter who you're asking them to, but the humility in which you ask questions, you can learn something no matter who it is. And so that's actually, I just wrote it, if you want me to tell it to you before you go to break.
I'd love to hear it.
So my note to my kids tomorrow, when you know, it's crazy that you asked this. When you know what you value and know where you're going, it makes it easy for you to ignore what doesn't matter and focus on what does. I think I often look for answers, but it's really the questions that teach us the most. I am focusing on asking better questions. I love you more, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to ask better questions because everybody has an answer. Oh, the portal's terrible, NIL's terrible, this, that. Yeah, I don't want to hear any of that if I'm going to keep doing my job.
Right. Yeah.
Those opinions can't impact my heart because then it impacts how I act, and then it impacts how I treat people. And so even with our kids, I ask them way more questions than I make statements. Now, if it's something I value or something that I believe is a priority relative to our team, I'm going to say those things. But in my heart, those are not opinions.
Right.
Those are values. Those are priorities. And so, yeah, I think you create more partnership and you create more ownership when you ask questions. And so I need to get better at asking questions.
More of the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams when we return. It's Aggie Basketball from Learfield. At Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill, we source high-quality ingredients and make our recipes from scratch every day, starting with our fresh tortillas to our chips and queso, Baja Bowls, quesadillas, tacos, and more. Find us at CostaVita.com or in South College Station today. We continue the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. Questions are coming from Steve, and he's got two of them. He's starting right off the bat.
No, you only get one, Steve.
Oh, he only gets one, so we're saving this one for next week.
Whoever Steve is. Steve, you can't
Steve's right there. He is hogging.
Steve, you get one, pal. We are going to share.
Yeah. Steve, which one do you want asked? Okay. How has recruiting been doing since the last game of the tournament?
Well, it's the calendar hasn't changed. The rules have changed.
Have they?
And so Lance could probably address the calendar better than I could. It's every day. And I think you constantly have to make really quick / difficult evaluations on do you want somebody from the portal? Do you want somebody you've been recruiting for 2 years? Do you want a high school kid? Does that fit what you need? All of those things. Our staff was tremendous in analytically and objectively studying our returning players and what we needed to add to that group to make that group better. And I personally think from a character standpoint, from their sphere of influence, from their talent, I thought, as of today, I thought they were perfect. I think those guys fit us now. They impact us now. They make our returning players better. And, you're relative to who we're recruiting now, I'm not allowed to talk about that per se. I think signing day is in 2 weeks, and I anticipate we'll sign some players that will be freshmen. And then, you're trying to evaluate who's going to be on the team next year.
Right.
And how do we need to add, and what freshmen do we need to add, and then potentially, you don't know, potentially how many will you have remaining that you want to be transfers. So it's an ongoing hourly, daily deal. This is week 4 in how I count practice, and so there were 5 weeks before that. So I think this is the 8th week or the 9th week. I think it's the 9th week of the semester, and our schedule is kind of routine in regards to how we program it up until game number 1. And so the staff orchestrates where I go. I go recruiting a day and a half every single week. I'm actually not this week because we're having Texas A&M Media Day, CEO Day, what we call it, on Wednesday. Wednesday is normally our off day, but since we're having a scrimmage on Sunday, this is the first week that it's ever been altered. So, and our staff goes out at certain times with me, sometimes without me, not on the day and a half that I typically go. So, again, I think we're trying to be diligent. We're trying to be consistent, while at the same time trying to have foresight on what we anticipate we will need on our team next year. And there's a lot of variables that go with that. Whoever's going to come, there's a lot of variables.
Right.
And then there's a lot of variables relative to who we anticipate will still be on campus.
We talked earlier, Buzz, about during COVID how it kind of changed, but you talked about how you'd like to be balanced with seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, that balance. Sometimes that was out of balance. Sometimes guys it was then 5 years, stuff like that. Do you still have that? Do you still try to have that balance? And how does a transfer portal affect some of that?
Yeah, I'm afraid you probably can't do that anymore, just to be honest. Not at this level. I think you're like any coach would tell you, you want to be as old as you can be and as talented as you can be as often as you can be. And so I do think all of that in a perfect world, the problem is none of this is perfect, and it's changing per hour. And, the thing that I struggle with, and I'm trying to do better, and our staff's helping me a lot, is, I still think I'm supposed to coach the guys that are here on campus too. And then, I can't be twirling out there in the wind on recruiting, thinking that it's recruiting like it was the first 25 years of my career. That's over too. And so I think we're constantly in search of what is a time threat relative to me, and where is the best use of my time with Andrew the recruit, or Andrew who's on our team, and a little bit of Buzz might need to take a nap at some point.
Right.
And so I think all of that's kind of constantly being juggled.
In our last segment of the Aggie Basketball Hour, Buzz Williams will talk about what is ahead. That scrimmage on Sunday, the exhibition against Houston. That'll be in our final segment when we return. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Coming up on Sunday, the Aggies will take on Houston, 4 p.m. for Fertitta Center, and that exhibition game benefits Hurricane Beryl Relief. A portion of the proceeds from that game will be donated to the Greater Houston Disaster Alliance Hurricane Beryl Recovery Fund. Benefits individuals who are affected by the storm, providing financial assistance and house repair. And as of October 2nd, over $6 million has been raised for residents of Harris, Montgomery, Waller, Fort Bend counties. This is also born out of the, obviously, exhibition. You get to play the number 4 team preseason in the country, but your relationship with Kelvin Sampson as well, is it not?
Yeah, I love Coach, and I've known Coach for I guess I met Coach when I was in college.
Did you really?
I think Coach is 68. I think. I'm not sure when his birthday is. I'm 52, so I'm almost positive I met him when I was in college. And then, eventually he became the coach at Oklahoma. And I was a manager at an NAIA school in Oklahoma City. And when I was there, Coach Tubbs was the head coach. And so I've known all of Coach Sampson's assistants over his career as a head coach. Washington State, Oklahoma, Indiana. And then when I was the head coach at Marquette, Coach was an assistant with the Bucks for a short period of time before he became an assistant with the Rockets. And so I got to see Coach a lot early in my head coaching career. And he's always been ultra good to me, as has his wife. We used to go on Nike, the shoe company, had a trip for certain coaches each summer, and they were kind enough to invite Corey and I a few times, and Coach and his wife would be there. And so I have the utmost respect for Coach and how he does it. Will be in the Hall of Fame. I would say he's a first ballot Hall of Fame inductee. And so this will be great for us. Obviously, we're 0-2 against them. But,
2 great games.
Well, we lost by 4 at the Toyota Center and then lost by 5 in overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I saw some of the coaches doing some prep for later in the week on strategy. And so, this will be good. It'll be fun.
Interesting, the last time we play them in Memphis, right? In that entire tournament, we remember the shot Anderson hit, sometimes more, right? Because it was such a big moment.
We just didn't I was happy that Andy made it, obviously. Great pass, great finish. We didn't we were in some foul trouble. They were in more foul trouble, so that's not justification. We just didn't handle the result of Andy's made shot probably as efficiently or as quickly as we needed to. And I hate it for Coach. Their best player obviously got hurt in the first half in the next game.
Yep.
I think they were then and they are now, based on what I know, good enough to win the national championship. And so I think if Jamal Shedd doesn't get hurt in the first 10 minutes of the following game that next week, but again, that's the margin, and that's how thin it is in order to win a game.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Thanks for doing this. Look forward to it.
Landry said I should do 2 of these before the season starts.
Yeah.
Because until the season starts, we're 0-0. So we can only give one segment to a game that doesn't count. So it worked out good. So there's only 10 weeks where you can ask me about games, whether we won or lost.
You got it.
Instead of 12.
Deal.
That was Landry's idea. That's a
brilliant.
good bucket for her to carry, right?
Absolutely.
This has been
next
the
week we
Aggie
need to have
Basketball
Landry.
Hour with Buzz Williams.
Basketball from Learfield.